See the first question. Which steps are required for constitutionalization of a commission? Do you think imparting constitutionality to National Commission for Women would ensure greater gender justice and empowerment in India? Give reasons. So what is the demand of the question? Break it into the demand. First understand the question. First try to understand the question. What is the demand of the question? Anyone? What is the demand of the question? Jitendra, do you want to directly write about the constitutionalization? What is the first part of the question?
Yes, sir. I want to just mention as what meant to be constitutionalization and
first. What is the first part of the steps? What is the first part? Steps required for constitutionalizing a commission.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
First, you need to mention steps, and then if NCW is made a constitutional body, what are the positives? What would be the drawbacks? If not for drawbacks, you could write what are the lacunae in already existing constitutional bodies.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There will not be any negatives by constitutionalizing the NCW. So what are the positives? What are the negatives? Sorry, what are the drawbacks of the existing bodies? And then you have
conclusion with agreement or disagreement in a polite way.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So whose answer is this? Again, no names. I mean, I fail to understand the lethargy in writing the names on the answer sheets. So from tomorrow, any answer sheet without name, even if I see that that answer sheet belongs to someone, I am not going to put it up in the class. Okay. UPSC is hard work, discipline, and also being sincere. Okay. So you have to be sincere first with yourself, not for me or not because of Ram sir or someone else. Okay. So please be disciplined, and I've been telling this in every class. Now it has become a practice that, okay, let's throw that scanned copy in the group. Some XYZ will take care of it. Okay, no peer review, no names on the answer sheets. Okay, so ultimately, you are not going to crack UPSC for me or for the institute or something of that sort. Okay, it is for you, so be disciplined. Okay, fine. So I think this is Bhaskar's answer sheet. Which steps are required? So obviously you need to mention. Okay, Bhaskar, the introduction cannot be like, you cannot give these arrows and all. Okay, introduction has to be properly written. Okay, so you have to introduce what do you mean by constitutionalization. Okay, so basically constitutionalization of a commission has to undergo certain basic protocol. What is that basic protocol? To become anything part of the constitution, which is the article 368. Okay, so I have seen that most of you have mentioned article 368, and to be part of the constitution has to be amended. Okay, the constitution has to be amended, and the amendment also has certain procedures. So you can write some basic lines about the how through Article 368, any commission with the approval of Parliament can become a constitutional body. And you can give the example of NCBC, National Commission for Backward Castes, under Article 338B. Right, it has become a constitutional body after the amendment of Parliament, after the amendment by the Parliament. Okay, that will be the first part of the question. And the second part of the question is, do you think imparting constitutionality to the National Commission for Women would ensure greater gender justice and empowerment in India? So do you think? If you think yes, you justify why it is yes. If you think no, you justify why it is no. Okay. Bhaskar, this WhatsApp language or the digital language is not allowed at the rate. Okay, I'll understand at the rate you mean to say it is at special majority or something of that sort, but don't, because the examiners will be retired professors of JNU or Delhi University and all. The person who's evaluating your script will never ever appreciate the digital jargon. Okay. And then you need to write points elaborately. Bhaskar, you are making points, but then the points are not elaborated. Okay. For example, they'll give power of civil court. Okay, even some statutory bodies like NHRC also has power of civil court. They can summon. Okay. Even NHRC reports are discussed in Parliament. So I think you need to be more specific regarding what it will give. For example, it will give more autonomy from statutory body. If some body turns into constitutional, the body will have more autonomy and less influence and engagement from the Parliament. And the body also in turn will become accountable to the Parliament. Okay, the body also will be accountable to the Parliament. And then it can look into the women's issue more proactively and also resolve certain grievances in a time bound and time specific way. Okay, so gender justice and empowerment is a very generic point, so you have to be very specific. Okay, and then what are the lacunae of the existing constitutional bodies? For example, now almost 3 bodies, the National SC Commission, ST Commission, and the Backward Caste Commission, all the 3 are constitutional bodies. How far they are empowered? Okay, though they are empowered, they are not yet taken, they are not having that kind of effectiveness which has to be for a constitutional body, that you can write. Okay. And then what we can say is, while NCW being constitutional can definitely resolve certain issues, the basic issues are with the society and its functioning in India. For example, the patriarchy system, the gender discrimination, the evil practices against women in various parts of India, okay, the gender crimes which are happening. All these are certain issues which are not depending on NCW as such. So basically, this particular aspect of constitution and making a particular statutory body as constitutional should be supported, because the body here is NCW. Okay, National Commission for Women. So what we can write is, in the conclusion, that making NCW constitutional is definitely a very big, it's very much the need of the hour, because close to 50% of our population are women. Okay, and it will definitely help in empowerment as well as addressing the issues of women. However, the larger goal should be to sensitize about the gender to the common people, and also to ensure that the society respects women as they are with changing times. Okay, so that can be a proper conclusion. Why are you writing schemes here, Bhaskar? So basically it's asking you about the role of NCW if it becomes constitutional, how it is going to protect women. Do you think it is going to protect women? If you think it is protecting women, how? If it is not going to protect women, what should be done? That is the kind of answer you have to write. Okay, even if you're writing schemes, maybe if you want to write schemes, if you can say that NCW can constitutionally monitor the implementation of certain important schemes. Okay, clear everyone? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Anyone has something to add? Okay. See the second question. Performance of welfare schemes that are implemented for vulnerable sections is not so effective due to absence of their awareness and active involvement at all stages of policy process discussed. I think it's a fairly simple question, but then because of the length of the question, sometimes from reading to starting to end, we may lose its essence. So for such questions, the only mantra to arrive at the proper core demand of the question is read it multiple number of times. You will understand. See, read a question in such a way or so many times so that you will just, by closing your eyes, you can understand the gist of the question in one line. The question may be 3 or 4 lines. Simply, what is the question? If I read it one more time, performance of welfare schemes that are implemented for vulnerable sections is not so effective due to absence of their awareness and active involvement at all stages of policy process. So if I once again close, I am getting some more clarity. Again, I'll read performance of welfare schemes that are implemented for vulnerable sections is not so effective due to absence of their awareness and active involvement at all stages of policy process discussed. Again, I'll just close my eyes. Now I am getting clarity of the question. They are simply saying, why are the welfare schemes not penetrating into the people? My simple one-liner from the reading of the question for 3 times is, why are the welfare schemes not penetrating into the people? Is my gist of the question clear? Or is someone having any other summary of the question? By reading 3 lines, I am just trying to make up my mind. Why are the welfare schemes not penetrating into the people? This is what I am understanding from the question. Someone else has any other question? Any other kind of inference from this question? Yes. Am I audible?
Yes.
Then speak up.
Yes, sir.
So is the gist of the question clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what should be the model answer? Give me the model answer. At least give me the framework. First, give me the framework. Awareness and active involvement are basically given because they are saying that because of lack of these things, the policies, the benefit welfare schemes are not penetrating. Okay, it is one of the, you can mention them in your lacunae. So what will be the framework of this question answer?
So with 4 or 5 examples, we can discuss their ineffectiveness and then way forward, then conclude.
Okay. The question gave one factor, Bhaskar. Apart from them, what are the other factors? You have to mention them. The question is giving one dimension. Okay. So basically, to introduce, you can write that the Indian Constitution aspires to make governance in India as a welfare state. So when you may welfare state, where through its preamble, and where else the welfare state is mentioned, and you can say direct to principles, DPSPs. Okay, so introduction somewhere you can give like how we want to be, how the Indian Constitution aspires to be a welfare state. Okay, so you can just give an introduction that the Indian state aspires to be a welfare state. Indian Constitution aspires to be a welfare state through the preamble and the directive principles of state policies. Okay, the aim and objective of the Constitution is to ensure that the poorest of poor are taken care in the country. Okay, and then for this, various governments have come up with a lot of welfare schemes for targeting the vulnerable sections. However, due to certain issues, these welfare schemes could not be penetrated or could not reach the desired sections of the society. What are the lacunae? Right, one by one. What is the first thing? What is the first thing is the red tape. You can write about the red tape or the bureaucratic approach in implementing the welfare schemes. Because of so many agencies involved in the implementation of a welfare scheme, they inherently it gets delayed and it doesn't reach the last mile. Okay, that is the first thing. And then what else can be the thing? Corruption at each and every stage is a very big bottleneck in taking the welfare schemes to the last mile, where the poor are found wanting to get their welfare measures implemented. And what is the other thing? Misappropriation of funds. Good. Misappropriation funds is nothing but a kind of corruption only. Okay. Middleman is bureaucratic approach, Rajni. We have already mentioned that there are a lot of bureaucratic approach, red tape. Okay. So when we are talking about welfare schemes, we cannot talk about middlemen because we are talking about the governance. Okay. Governance. So basically, it is the side from the implementation also. And you can write examples like one size fits all approach. In India, what happens is the schemes are made at the macro level, at the central government level, and they think that the scheme will deliver across India, but that scheme may not be required in certain. So, like for example, if you take Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme, that may be very much relevant in Haryana, but it may not be relevant in places like Kerala, where the sex ratio is above 1,000. Understood? And then lack of data. Yes, lack of data about the vulnerable sections. You can talk about pilferages, no proper data records. Okay. And then the rural infrastructure. Rural infrastructure is not good. Okay. The last mile connectivity is absent. If some remote person has to receive certain welfare scheme or benefit out of that welfare scheme, it is very difficult. Okay. And you can write about issues like poverty, illiteracy, or people not being aware of the welfare measures they are actually entitled to. Okay. And then not having proper skill sets for the people at grassroots level. Okay, people at grassroots level or panchayat level, they sometimes do not have proper skill set, which is a major issue in itself. So all these factors are definitely playing a major role in hampering the progress of these welfare scheme reaching to the poorest of poor or the vulnerable sections. So what would be the way forward? Way forward, you have to write as to what are the measures taken by the government. You can write about the 2015 Jan Dhan Yojana, that is the JAM Trinity. You can write about how DBT, direct benefit transfer, has been a revolutionary measure where a lot of bureaucratic or red tape is now avoided and the money is directly deposited into the accounts of the beneficiaries. And you can write about the example of PMFS. It's a scheme where the entire finance flow, right from the start of the budget to the last mile of the spending of the rupees accounted, PMFS system. Okay, and you can write about the need of social audits, like the social audit is done in MG Narega scheme, where the people go and say that what are the benefits they have received. Okay, and then in the conclusion you can write, while the technology has definitely improved the reach of these schemes, welfare schemes, to many vulnerable people, the need of the hour is to further strengthen the infrastructure, use latest technologies like blockchain, and also to ensure that the people with proper skill set and proper awareness are placed at the grassroots level, so that we can achieve the sustainable development goal of removing the poverty. That's all. Whose answers are this? Again, no name. Whose answer is this? Hindu. Hindu, you are writing lot of facts, okay, but then you are writing so many examples of the schemes. Okay, it is one way of writing the answer, but you have to shoot at the core demand of the questions as to what are the reasons for ineffectiveness, and you have not elaborated them. You have simply written 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you have to elaborate the reasons for ineffectiveness and make a proper conclusion as we did. Clear, everyone? Second question, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Third question, you see. Yeah. Did I take this polity discussion for you people some time back? Did we do polity discussion?
No, sir.
Polity discussion we have not done here. Okay, maybe you have done somewhere else. Okay. Polity question and answers we have not done.
No, sir.
Okay, fine. I think some of you must have attended this third question. Third question was discussed long back by us. Anyhow, we'll discuss it now. Is the NCW able to strategize and tackle the problems that women face at both public and private spheres? Give reasons in support of your answer. So what they are asking is, what is the effectiveness of the NCW? In short, they are asking you, what is the effectiveness of NCW, and do you think it is effective? If you think it is yes, what is the reason? Okay. If you think
We discussed it, sir, in
that's
our polity session.
what yaar, I forgot or you forgot?
We just don't remember.
అందరూ ఏకగ్రీవంగా నో సార్ అంటే నేనే కన్ఫ్యూజ్ అయ్యాను. అరే వాట్ హ్యాపెండ్? ఈజ్ మై మెమరీ?
లేదు సార్, లేదు సార్. స్టార్టింగ్ లో డిస్కస్ చేసాం.
I came all the way to Reddy's IAS and taken the polity classes, and now happily that 3 months, 4 months down the line, chorus lo no antunar andaru, including Sriram.
Yeah, sir, there's a lot of gap. So much of him.
Anyhow, there are some people who might have missed that session. So that's what when I saw this question in the evening, I said, okay, anyhow, my mind has the model answer. And most of you, when I just see in random scripts, you have written the same model answer. I thought, okay, good. These guys remember what I taught 3 months or 4 months back. And now after writing the answer also, you're saying, no, sir, we have not seen this at all.
So even though we did remember our class, we remember your
So what is
insights
the,
of questions.
I should ask you then, what are the latest movies in Netflix and Amazon Prime this weekend? That will be very easily remembered. All the data being given by Ramsai will be buffered only to see movies. Anyhow, see the third question and give the framework.
The introduction and success regarding NCW and some failures regarding NCW, and then we conclude with way forward.
See, for statutory bodies, don't write failures.
So drawbacks, sir.
Drawbacks. Okay, delicate.
Yeah, sir.
Failures అనేటప్పటికి radical అయిపోతుంది. It becomes radical thing. So don't write such a thing. So you write just drawback. Okay, it's a statutory body. So basically, okay, sometimes I'm using Telugu today. Maybe Rajni may not be comfortable. She is in the class. Okay. Rajni, you understand Telugu? Okay.
Very little, sir.
Little, okay, good. Anyhow, so what Jitendra told is correct framework. So what we can do is we can introduce something about the NCW. Okay. And then the question is asking you to explain. It's like, was it successful? Okay. Was it successful? So don't outrightly say it is not successful, because definitely it played its part. Let's be honest. So you can say, yes, it was successful in 1, 2, 3, 4 ways. Drawbacks, it could not achieve much mileage things in 1, 2, 3, 4 points. And then conclude. You can use the first question as a conclusion in the third question. You can say, by actually giving constitutional status, we can more empower, and also we can have fast track courts or etc. by under the supervision of NCW when it becomes constitutional. So all these kind of innovative measures you can write and say that 50% of the population in India is women, and the need of the hour is to just bring proper justice system to them. So what you can write, you can say in the positive, the success aspects about NCW, you can write how they have supported. I'm just reading out my model answer which I have given long back. You can say how they have successfully, how they have been successful in bringing out property rights to women, especially under the Hindu Act. Okay. And then through NGOs, with the support of various NGOs, NCW has been taking up many social and economic issues of women. Okay. And they have led to many campaigns, and also they have addressed a lot of legitimate grievances. They have ensured in certain women rights across the nation. Okay. And then they have seen through that women who are being subjected to domestic violence are properly taken care, and the people who are resorting to such things are taken to the legal courts and etc. Okay. So, and also you can mention that during the unfortunate Disha gang rape or the Nirbhaya case, the NCW played a crucial part in sensitizing the issue amongst the nation and drawing support from many women. So all these can be mentioned as a positives of NCW. So where it is finding wanting is, it is basically like a toothless tiger where its recommendations are not binding on the government. The functioning of the institution itself is sometimes very difficult because it doesn't have proper funding mechanism. Okay, and then sometimes the leaders or the heads of the NCW are appointed from political parties and who just take care of this seat because it's a nominated post and there is no grievance, there is no legitimate belongingness. You can say that heads of NCW sometimes lacked legitimate belongingness in taking the institution forward. Okay, all these measures you can mention and you can give a way forward as we discussed, like it can be made constitutional. Okay, more gender sensitization and giving more autonomy and giving proper functionaries and funds. So this 3F you always remember: funds, functionaries, and functions. Functions, functionaries, and finance. Instead of funds, you can remember finance. So you should know you should let the organization have proper funds. You should let the organization have proper functionaries, that is people who can run the organization. And lastly, give that organization sufficient funds or finance. If these 3F are there, then it will become an institution which can run on its own. And next comes functionality as to how it has to operate. It's a next level thing. Okay, so on that note you can simply conclude the third answer. So again, this question, this is Venkateshwari. Venkateshwari, third question, right? Good answer, Venkateshwari. Good. You have put all the feminism into you into the conclusion. Okay, it's a very good conclusion. So I'm not saying that, but in conclusion or introduction or in throughout the presentation of the paper, make sure that your identity or your gender or your caste or whatever it is directly or indirectly not revealed to the examiner. Okay, because that is not generally appreciated. You can definitely highlight about women's issues, give a very powerful conclusion. Okay, no problem. Fine, good. See the fourth question. Does the Rights of Persons with Disability Act 2016 ensure effective mechanism for empowerment and inclusion of the intended beneficiaries in the society? Discuss. Yeah. Framework for fourth question.
Same framework as third question.
Yes. Again, it's a question. It's asking you about a particular act, how the act was. They're asking you whether that act could do proper justice to the intended beneficiaries. Who will be the intended beneficiaries? The Divyangs. The person with disabilities are now called Divyangs. So the Divyangs, are the Divyangs being benefited from this act or not, is the question. So basically what you will write about the Divyangs, and how the persons with disabilities will have certain issues, and Then to address these issues, how this act was brought into picture, that will be your introduction. Now the first side heading will be the features, important features of this act. Before mentioning what are, whether this act is important or not, or is it serving the purpose or not, you should explain certain important features of this act. Okay, what are the important features of this act? Anyone? What are the important features of this act?
Increase in number of disabilities from 7 to 20.
Yeah, the number of disabilities identified under this act are increased. The number can be written. If you can remember the number, you can write 7 to 21. Next,
Free education.
free education. Yes, okay. Reservation to the disabled has been, I think it has been increased to 4%, right?
Yes, sir.
4%. And then, okay, right to education, 6 to 18 years. Yes, children between 6 to 18 years with certain disabilities will have right to free education. Okay. And there is a certain degree of protection against discrimination. Okay. So all these are certain important aspects of this act. And then highlight. So basically you can say that all these aspects, positive aspects, have definitely played a crucial role in empowering the persons with disabilities. However, there are certain lacunae in the act. Yeah. Providing special district courts to handle violating. So, okay, fine. So what are the lacunae of this? Basically, the act is silent in certain gray areas. So and that brings out certain kind of ambiguity in the act. Okay. And the physical disability is mentioned, but the mental disability like autism, etc., are not properly defined. Okay. And coming to this Raghu's point, the providing special district courts. So who is the authority in providing the proper justice is not clear in this particular act. Okay, so you can write that the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act of 2016 is definitely a very welcome move with regard to the persons with disabilities, as they are also equal stakeholders in the progress achieved by the nation. Okay, and the need of the hour is to ensure that the schemes and the measures taken by the government are more inclusive towards this section of the society, and also the rights as entitled by the constitution are guaranteed to these vulnerable sections of the society. Clear? So no one has written fourth answer. Anyone has written fourth? Whose answer sheet is this? Anyone who has written fourth answer? Venkateshwari, I think we have already discussed yours, right? Anyone else? Sriram. Okay, Sriram has raised the hand. So where is Sriram's? Yeah, Jitender. You also wrote?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll read tomorrow. Your answer tomorrow. It is fastest finger first, right? So Sriram raised the hand first.
Okay.
Fourth question, Sriram. Yeah, so you started off with okay, good. UN Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities. So it's a good introduction, bringing the UN dimension, and then yeah, all the points we discussed just now. So you've covered all the points, Sriram. What are the features or provisions of the Act? So what are the lacunae of the Act? Okay, you have written ambiguity, good, and also seems to be no authority that can try. Yeah, the district court one, yes, and there is no clarity on mental illness. So all in all, very good answer, Sriram. Okay,
Yes, sir.
you can maybe now that seeing your answer, I am also getting an idea. You can write about some sustainable goal, where which talks about equal growth or growth with equity. You can write such things. Okay,
Yes, sir.
fine. See the last question. Examine the provision of national child. Examine the main provisions of national child policy and throw light on the status of its implementation. So it's again national child policy was there. It was a hot discussion during 2015-16. So it came in the mains. National child policy and throw light on the status of its implementation. So simple question again, they are asking you the provisions of this act or this policy, and then you have to say if it is implemented, to what extent it is implemented, if it is not implemented, to what extent it is not implemented. Give the framework. So you have to give the provisions, right? So examine the main provisions of national child policy and throw light on status of its implementation. So yeah, just write some 2 or 3 lines about national child policy in the introduction as to when it was brought up. It was brought up way back in, I think, 2014 or 13. Okay, it is brought up in 2013, and then basically anyone less than 18 years are considered as children as per the national child policies. And the basic, you can say that as per the national child policy 2013, any child with less than 18 years is considered as child. And the basic aim and objective of this policy is to bring a complete development in the child's growth. And then come with the provisions of the national child policy. What are the provisions? What are the various provisions? Then you can give the side heading, provisions of national child policy 2013. So what are the various provisions? Anyone? Survival, yes. Survival, you mean to say neonatal care, right? Providing neonatal care to the children within 30 days of birth. That is the survival days. Very good. Okay. Next. There are so many schemes which are now part of this national child policy. The famous vaccination scheme, which is called Mission Indradhanush, I think. Yeah, Mission Indradhanush. And then, free vaccinations to women, the child. Okay. And then the adolescent girls are given certain nutrition. Yeah, survival, health, nutrition, development, education, protection, and participation. Yes, that is it. These are the areas where the national child policy tries to speak about the children. So survival, neonatal care, health, uh, immunity and vaccinations, nutrition, as we said, the adolescent girls and the growing children are given the micronutrients like folic acid, etc., so that their iron levels, they do not become anemic and all. Okay, development. So with regard to the development, you can say that the holistic development, not only the education, but also the physical growth is also part of this policy. Education, obviously, that the right to education, the SSA, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, is very much part of this policy, and the children between 6 to 14 years should be having right to education as per Article 21A, and then participation. Okay, protection from, trafficking, protection from child right violations like POXO, okay, and protection from being convicted under certain crimes through Juvenile Justice Act, okay, and participation in the nation building and nation's growth. So if you take, you can just see what Vasavi has written. If you see each and every point and write a side heading for it, it will be the provisions of the act. Now comes how far they are implemented. The second part of the question is status of the implementation. Then you can speak about status of implementation as side heading, and then you can speak about some government schemes like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, how it has been helping to improve the sex ratio, and you can speak about the Matrutva Yojanas, okay, where the children are being given breastfeeding, okay, and also the mothers are given paid leave, okay, the maternity benefit also comes under child growth only, okay, that is one. And you can again speak about the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan or right to education under Article 21A, okay, and you can, for protection, you can speak about the Nirbhaya Act, which has been formulated in 2011, and then the Nirbhaya funds are there, and then you can talk about the POXO Act, and you can even talk about the PCPNDT Act of 1995, where the determination of sex of the fetus is prohibited. So all these examples, or some 4 or 5 examples, you can mention in your answer, okay, and say that and then conclude saying that while implementation has been progressive so far, the need of the hour is to ensure that the implementation of the national child policy is made in toto, as we still see that many children are malnutrition or undernutrition, and India as a country is facing the triple burden, okay, is facing the triple burden with regard to the children. So the need of the hour is to implement all these aspects of national child policy in a holistic way, so that the India will, for next many years, will be supplying the much needed demographic dividend to the country and to the world. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Anything else we can add? So we'll see Vaishnavi's answer script. India as a country, about 1/5 of children among the global population ratified. Good beginning, Vaishnavi. So you have arrived how India has come to national child policy because of its ratification to the UN Convention, where it's a very logical and good introduction. You can avoid all these, ma. You can straight away come to the provisions. Is it 150 words or 250 words? I have to see that. Even if it's a 250 word, you can write. You did not write so much. This entire, I hope you are able to see my cursor. This entire section is unnecessarily draining your space and lot of content. Okay, you are writing something about the National Child Policy 2013. Okay, but then you are explaining in detail that what exactly goes into the policy, not required. So you can straight away write, come to the provisions and status of the provisions. First you write the provisions, and then write status of the implementation, so that the separation is ensured and the examiner also knows that what exactly you are writing. Or maybe, see, everyone has their own way of presentation. If you are able to project that, the status and implementation status and the provision is clubbed also, you should ensure that it is properly focused. So in your answer, you are trying to talk about the provision and then the status. Okay, I'll accept this approach also. It's good. See, ultimately, everyone has their own unique way of presentation. So it's not hard and fast rule that we need to disturb that or follow certain way of presentation. Okay. So you are talking about survival, health, and nutrition. Okay. And then giving certain stats. Okay, good. Education and development. Okay, and then giving stats. So you have remembered so much of stats. Okay, I assume that you have written this answer without seeing. If you can write this many stats without seeing, okay, then it's definitely a very good answer. It will, examiner himself will be surprised that you are able to write so many facts, but only be sure that you are making the facts correct and you are not writing in a random way. If you don't know the facts, you just say that around, approximately, that is good. If you are making a fact, be sure about it. Okay, you have written midday meal scheme, protection. Okay, you have mentioned NCPCR, POSCO scheme. Okay, good. So you written one dimension. You have to write some way forward also, because not everything is so green, right? Vaishnavi, not everything is so green. So there are certain gray areas also. You have to mention that gray areas. Okay. So you have mentioned certain gray areas in some status. Again, see, that is a problem. So in status, you are writing both positives and negatives at one point, then at least segregate. Status, what is the positive part of it, what is negative part of it, or what is the drawback part of it. Then it will be very clear. Understood? In status only, you are giving 2 points, one positive point and one drawback. But then unless I go in depth and again read it. So I told you, right, the basic exercise of your presentation should be to make the examiner life easy. So think in that line. You have written all valid points. You can add much more beautiful conclusion. As I said, like you can write about the child rights. Okay, child rights, and then you can write about the sustainable development goals and how India is still having a lot of future with regard to the demographic dividend, and it should ensure that the children are given proper care, and the national child policy is implemented as it was aspired, so that the future of the country is taken care. Okay, you have made points, but the presentation of points, I feel, has to undergo certain change. That's what my presentation was. That if you say initially my model answer was that I wanted to divide it into provisions and then status. In status, what are the positive aspects and what are the drawbacks, so that I am making the life of the examiner perfect and clear. Okay, fine. Anything else? Yes, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Anything else you want to discuss? So, okay, please take the feedback constructively and progressively, and whatever feedback is being given to you, go back and implement. Of course, we are discussing only 4 or 5 people answers, because there are 5 questions. that doesn't, and I'm making it sure that I'm rotating the answer script so that everyone's answer will come out at least once. So in weekly, I see hardly 10 to 15 people are writing regularly. So at least every 2 days your answers will be coming up for discussion. And okay, it's not that when your answers are coming up for discussion, why I'm bringing up them for discussion is, one thing is you'll have seriousness in writing because your answer will be presented to your friends. Okay, and second thing is, what I'm expecting from you is that you'll go back to your drawing board and make the required corrections as to what was discussed in the class, what was written by you. And yeah, Bhaskar, it happens, these governance questions and other questions are very tricky, especially the social justice, vulnerable sections. Okay, that's why again and again I'm keep on saying to you that read the question at least 3 times. It may be the easiest of question. I'm still saying the question may be saying what is Article 14, explain, but still read it for 3 times, no harm. What happens is, in the mains, I've seen many people, they see the booklet and start writing. Take some time, 5 minutes time to understand what is the question. First, you read the 20 questions, and then even in the individual question, take 30-40 seconds. First, you understand the question. Answer will come. The problem is, if you moment you understand the question in a particular way, your answer will divert, and that is what is the difference, right? Say there are 20 questions, and if you are getting 5 marks for all the questions, you will get 100 marks. 100 is a very good score in GS, by the way. Okay, so if you get 4 marks, of course that 100 is like, there are 10 15 marker questions and 10 marker questions. So I'm assuming you will get 4 marks in the 10 markers and 6 marks in 15 markers. Then even then you are getting 100. To get 100 marks out of 250 also, you should understand the questions. Okay, you cannot write something random like a board exam and say that, okay, I have filled the paper with the Bahubali story, it is done. Okay, so you just imagine getting 100 in GS also is difficult, means people are not even scoring 2 or 3 marks in certain questions. That means what would be the problem? What would be the problem? That they are unable to understand the demand of the question. So understand the demand of the question, arrive at the appropriate answer, and then write the answer. First arrive at the appropriate framework and then write the answer. Then at least 80% of your answers will make sense. And I am assuring you, the moment you do that, by default, you will score 100. So 100 will be your benchmark. And then if your answers are brilliant, then the content is brilliant, you will end up scoring the 115s, 120s, which are topper marks. Okay, if you can just get 3 papers, the 7 papers are there for marking. So optionals, it's again a very different ball game altogether. So even if you can make 2 of your GS papers as high scoring, your probability of getting a rank will be more. You see, these are all what I'm trying to tell is, these are all out of experience and after seeing so many marking systems, marking patterns. GS 1, 2, 3, 4. In these 4 papers, if you cross 110 in 2 papers and do above average in other 2 papers, be rest assured. And if you do decently in your optional, you are going to get a rank. So all these you need to see. You have so much of resources and you have so much of guidance and so much of awareness, exam awareness these days. So you should utilize that and channelize your energy in that fashion. Okay, focus your energy on the right things. And then I'm sure if you do the right things repeatedly, no one can stop the success. Okay. as long as you're doing the right things, you are in the right path. Okay, don't think that you are someone is superior or inferior. At least I am believing that all the people who are in this class, except me and Ram sir, are capable of getting a rank. Okay, because we both cannot write an exam now. So remaining people can write exam and can get a rank. So that was on a lighter note. Okay, but I'm saying again, I had myself or Ram sir, because we have so many conversations, have this kind of guidance, maybe it would have been something else. It's okay. So keep focusing on the right things and do right things, and good night.